Hey all, how are you? It's your pal Dave. It's Saturday, the 26th of April, and I'm up here on the job site. Kinda, kinda melancholy these days about coming up here. It'll be interesting to go back and watch some of my older videos when I was still full of excitement and optimism. Now I gotta admit, these days coming up here, it's just a bummer. It's got me really bummed out, so over my head with this project, and so many regrets, so many decisions that I really thought at the time I was making the right decision. I mean, I tend to be pretty cautious about making big decisions, and I ask for lots of advice, and I tread carefully, and it still feels like no matter what I've done with this property, every time I turn around and try and go in a different direction, I step on that rake and it smacks me in the face. Switch hands here for a second if I can. See if I can get my finger out of there. There we go. You know, it just feels like it's one thing after another that comes along here. And I mean, as beautiful as this site is up here, I don't look forward to coming up here these days anymore. It just totally bums me out. I just feel like a huge failure when I come up here, and this should have been done months ago. And I just feel like there are some people who, you know, I don't know, maybe karma's a real thing. Maybe people will get theirs in the end, but there are some people who deserve some karmatic justice, I guess, as we would put it, maybe, as I'm putting it. But anyway, we are on to our fifth crew now, fifth construction crew, and you can see, you know, we're still not done. You know, we initially started with Stefan and Roberto, and then when Stefan unfortunately died, we moved on with just Roberto. And he didn't know what the hell he was doing. He's one of the main ones who needs some karmatic justice. He promised me a certain price, and we passed that a long time ago and haven't finished. And then it was just Danny. Love Danny. But I think it was just too out of his scope. And then the water went out for 2.5 weeks, and when it came back on, Danny had gotten another job, so I hired Noel, who worked for me by himself for a couple weeks, and then he brought on a helper who was more of a hindrance than a helper, and then a third guy, and it felt like they had 3 guys and they were going slower than he went at the onset by himself. And then those guys were finishing up the first unit, cleaning up the tile, and I mean, you could really feel the whole unit moving to a degree that I was like, this isn't safe. You know, if I'm going to be the first one living in here, I don't want to get killed when this thing gets knocked down in an earthquake or something like that. And I decided I wanted to hire some additional help, and Noel didn't like that. He didn't want anybody encroaching on his turf, I guess. And so that was the end of that. He quit. And now I'm working with Tino. He's one of my neighbors that I've known for a while, kind of just informally. But now he's like the project manager. He's got a lot of engineering experience. And Ricardo and his crew that are kind of from San Ramon, a bit north of us. And they really seem like they got their act together. They got everything they need. You know, you can see he brought up his own mixer and everything. And there's some other supplies that I'll show you here in a sec. Why don't I swing around so you guys don't have to look at my face the whole time with my sad, pouty look. So we decided that it really wasn't safe to continue finishing anything until we took care of this reinforcement. So the guys have been working really hard on getting all this reinforcement ready to go. Look at all this rebar that they're doing here, all this. So we've done trenches along here, and what we're going to do is put up a wall all the way between here. So this whole thing here will be walled off, and that'll give us the structural support that we need, as well as lateral stabilization. But then we're also going to do two beams similar to this one. They call them California beams or whatever you want to call it. So two beams going, one there and then one more back here. And then we're going to do a heavy iron post there, like an I-beam. And maybe there was going to be another I-beam on this side. I don't know, but we were just going to do these two sides. And then I think he was talking about beefing up these posts as well, making them, these two posts here, making them thicker so that we've got a bit more support on that side too without having to do another wall. So we started into all of this, and then guess what happened? Because God forbid I go for a couple days without having a problem, the freaking water went out again. So apparently some jackass, well, they're really making good progress over here. So that's a shame. Look at all that waste. All of that had to get pulled out. That's okay, I guess. So the pump's up there somewhere. That's a job site up there. They really haven't been doing much on it except screwing with our water, because this is the third time now that the water has gone out. The first time it was short in the computer board, and that was when we were trying to get the finish work done on the walls, and we needed water for that. And so if you see here, that's why this wall here is wrinkled, and it's gonna, that coating's gonna come off of there. You can see in spots it's already come off, like right there, and there's some up there too, because we didn't have water. And then the second time we were without water, it was because the pump, which pumps sit at the bottom of wells, naturally. The pump burned out the second time, and now this time somebody shorted out the pump. So it's going to have to get pulled up. And so what they have to do is they have to pull up all of these like 10-meter long lengths of well pipe, and then they put a new pump on the bottom and put the whole thing back down. But we don't know how long that's going to be for them to get that done. So just as these guys are getting at it here and getting busy, getting this going, we suddenly run into this problem. And you know, if you know the road coming up here, it's pretty steep. It's hard to get a water truck up here, but that's what we're going to have to do. Tino was working on it today. He found a rolling cistern, basically a big tank on a trailer, but the vehicle that usually pulls it is in the shop. So the guys couldn't do anything about getting any water. You know, I mean, I'm tempted tomorrow to just start bringing up big bottles of water. You know, I've got some of those Sparklet bottles. What are they, like? Probably more than 10 gallons. Like these guys. I could bring up a bunch of them. Just start shuttling water up here. So I'm not going to let this slow us down. I'm so freaking frustrated with this project. I just want to get it done. You know, the upstairs is, well, the upstairs hasn't changed since the last time I showed you a video up there. They'd gotten all the tile done, and they were starting to work on the cabinets in the kitchen and the bathroom. And, you know, I've talked to these guys here. I mean, they've got a sizable crew. They've got like, I mean, they can have as many as 8 guys. I think they had like 4 or 5 up here the other day. And, oh, and if you noticed, we put some plastic around this because we've been getting all this unseasonal rain, and there's no roof on any of these guys. So at least now we've got that one protected. I don't think we bought enough. We'll get some more to do the first one. But Let me just check since I'm here, although it's ridiculous. Why would I even bother checking? There's no water. See, nothing. Tiny little bit. But Michael, the guy who manages the property next door, he had to relocate renters. He had renters staying in the house here, and he had to have them all relocated. So I'm sure he wasn't very happy about it either. And that house, that's an expensive house. That's got to be like $1,000+ a night for that house over there. You know, this kind of adds to my overall disappointment with how things are going right now in my Dave's Life in Costa Rica story. I'm really not sure what I'm going to do. I mean, I don't even really want to be here anymore. You know, Costa Rica's not cheap. It's difficult to deal with. You know, still trying to figure out the electrical thing. It's like there's so many unresolved issues with this property. It's like just when you think, oh, well, we got the well in, we got the water. No, I mean, I haven't even lived here yet, and we've had 3 problems with the water. We can't seem to get the electrical. Everything was fine. We got an electrical permit. Everything was just fine. And then when they came up to do the wiring, they were like, oh, you're about 4 meters too long. So now it has to go into another phase of reassessing and redetermining how it all goes. It can't just be like, okay, hey, we're going to charge you a little bit for the extra wire that we're going to put up. I'm jumping through all these hoops, and the one thing that I have learned about being here in Costa Rica is that it is all about who you know. It's all about connections. And so Mark, another builder who I had initially talked to about helping me with all this, but he's trying to retire. He's trying to be done. He's got some chronic back problems too. He was the one who introduced me to, who recommended Tino. I didn't even realize Tino did any building. He's got some people that he knows at ISE, the electrical cooperative. Hopefully they'll be able to get everything squared away. But I gotta tell you, there is a big part of me right now that as soon as we can get these cabinas done and everything's operational and it feels like it's a sellable property, I'm thinking about selling it and moving on and doing something else. You know, it just really got me down because, I mean, I put my whole heart and soul into this effort, and I did so many things to, you know, lean out my life so that I'd have more money to spend on this. But there are also some other circumstances that play into all of this. You know, I sold my business back in Colorado, and the person I sold it to has decided to stop making payments to me. And so I've had to take legal action against her. And she had a month to reply to me in the formal demand letter that my attorney, so I had to get an attorney, she drafted up. And she just, and so now we're actually going to have to take her to court. And I just don't know how that's all going to pan out. I don't know what the resolution is going to be with all this. And then I also, when I first came down here, I had a doctor friend that was the first doctor when I owned the clinic. And he and I were going to start a paramotor tour company where we would bring paramotor pilots from the U.S. down here to fly. And I had invested a whole bunch of money in buying a bunch of supplies, and he and I ended up having a falling out, and he basically stole all my stuff. You know, he's kind of a petty, vindictive guy like that. And I mean, so anyway, I'm suing him, and that's a huge process in Costa Rica because you actually have to get a public prosecutor, not a defender, public prosecutor to take your case first. They won't just let any case go into the court system because people are unhappy like they do in the States. You actually have to get a public prosecutor to say, yes, you have a valid case. And, and then from there, we take it to trial. And it was supposed to go to trial about a month and a half ago, and his attorney managed to delay it. I don't know how that worked out. So now it's supposed to come up this next month. So not only do I have a lawsuit against my former administrator who bought the business from me in Colorado, but I have this lawsuit against my former doctor. And, I was supposed to be getting several $1,000s a month from the sale of the business in Colorado. And lately I haven't gotten anything. And so I took on a part-time job, which I'm grateful for, but it's not fulfilling at all. It's just an online job. It's basically telemarketing. And it's for a solar company, and I believe in solar, but it's not exactly, a fulfilling job. Something's over there in the tree. There were some really pretty scarlet macaws just flying around. I kept hoping they would come back over so I could get a video of them for you guys. So I feel like I'm carrying a lot. I'm trying to get this project done. I'm dealing with 2 lawsuits. I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do with my life, Oh, there's some coming over there, but they're pretty hard to see. You might be able to hear them more than see them. They're kind of loud. I didn't realize how empty my life was going to be when I sold the clinic, and how much I would still want to continue to work. Now, one shining piece in all of this is this whole time I've been working with Jacques, who bought the clinic from me, and Eric, the existing doctor, who I really got to say have been good friends through all this, and I'm really hoping that continues. And I feel like I've lost some friends while I've been here through this whole process. Jacques has we all together have started a tour company where we will be bringing down high school and college students for enrichment trips to Costa Rica, where we'll take them to all the great sightseeing things and we'll have a lot of fun with them, but there will be an educational component. There will be some life skills training. There will be some first aid and CPR training that I'll be the one doing that. And we rolled those out just last week. We finally got all of our ducks in a row, as they say. And we rolled out these trips. And the great thing is Jacques' sister works for like the National Chamber of Commerce or something. I might be wrong on that. But so she's very well connected with all these schools. So this whole process kind of came through reverse engineering, that she was like, hey, if you ever want to do tours, I can find you the audience. I can find you the people to come. And so that's how it all started. So we coordinated everything. We put together a whole itinerary and everything. We coordinated with ground transportation, and we've had several meetings about this and put a really nice video together and whatnot. And so hopefully here we're going to start getting some trips, and I'm going to be the tour guide basically. So I'll take these guys to the different locations and stuff. I might not go in with them. There are a lot of expert guides at these national parks and stuff that I think would give them a better experience. But I'm going to be their liaison here and make sure that everything goes smoothly. They're going to have chaperones with them too, but that everything will go smoothly for them while they're here. So that would at least be a really fun, fulfilling type of job. But who knows? Maybe I'm going to have to take over the CPR business from Colorado. There's just so many variables up in the air, and I'm spending borrowed money, and it's borrowed money from my family, and I'm so grateful. But at the same time, I feel a real responsibility to make sure that I'm honoring my loan, and that I'm paying off my debt. And so in a way, I almost wish I'd borrowed from a bank, because then I'm like, oh hey, they're the I-beams right there. You see those suckers there, big heavy pieces of iron. So actually those are going to be the cross pieces. I'm sorry, those will be the cross pieces, not those California beams that you can see. There's one right there. You can see that. It won't be like that. It'll just be these solid pieces of iron here. So anyway, I think part of it is just this unknowing that I don't really like not having things mapped out in front of me, like how I want to do things. But there's nothing I can do about that. That's just a matter of time. I've just got to put up with this and get through it. And whether I decide to keep them and rent them, or I just sell it and be done with it and move on, that really remains to be seen. I just would say that at this moment in time, on Saturday, April 26th, I'm just not the happiest guy about how this whole project has worked out. I mean, you think to yourself, I'm just going to build some cabinas and do some rentals and have this be my retirement gig. Maybe not. Maybe not. You know, man makes plans and sometimes God laughs. So, you know what? We're going to wait and see what this next week holds. Get some water, work on the electrical issue, get these walls done. Now, the great thing is that Ricardo's pretty optimistic that once we get these walls in and everything like that, the remainder is just going to be, you know, a month or so to get the other two cabinas really done. You know, I'm going to plunk down the borrowed money and really just try and get it done. The first one only needs like 5% more. I mean, I've already bought all of the appliances and stuff like that, and, you know, a new bed, because I don't really have a bed. The bed that I sleep in is part of my rental. Anyway, keep me in your thoughts, okay? I really need lots of positive energy on this. I need to figure out what direction I'm going here in my life. Do I want to stay in Costa Rica, or do I want to move on? Maybe. You know, that remains to be seen. But those are the questions that are weighing heavy on your buddy Dave's head right now. Trying to figure out what the smartest decision is to make. But I just feel like every time I turn around and try and move in a direction, I step on the proverbial rake that smacks me in the face. It's like, nope, wrong direction. So I'm like, God, which way do I go? And am I making the right decision? And so on and so forth. So anyway, I need all the love and support I can get. So thank you guys. This was a little bit of a long one, but thanks for listening. Till next time.